What's up guys, this is Billy from Movie Cricket. I am absolutely stoked today because I'm doing a video review of Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, and I have been so excited for this game for so long. I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, but is it one game to rule them all? Here's our PlayStation 4 review of the open world adventure from the Lord of the Rings universe, that is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. If you like the idea of playing as a Ranger-Wraith hybrid as you tear through Mordor, slaying Uruks and Orcs, invading their mines and laying waste to their hierarchy, then Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor might just be for you. If I was to describe the basic mechanics of Middle-earth: Shadows of Mordor, you'd be forgiven for thinking that I could be talking about the Assassin's Creed series or even the Batman games from Rocksteady. The mechanics are very similar, but that's not to say that Shadows of Mordor is without its own innovations and creative flares. Yes, the mechanics might be similar, but this game has plenty to offer on its own. Now, with all of that considered, and with the addition of Lord of the Rings lore, this pretty much felt like a game after my own heart. Does the game live up to its price tag? Here's Movie Cricket's review to find out.
What is this place? Am I dead? Father, look at me. I'm right here, son. I'm right here. How is this possible? You are banished from death. You're
We'll be together, my love. Soon. Forever.
We will be together again soon, my love. What has happened to me?
The curse has bound us together.
And how do we break it?
We find the one who cast it on us.
I had a family once. A wife. And a son. And I buried them along with everyone I ever knew.
Now, let's be honest, the Lord of the Rings saga has not produced the best collection of adapted video games in the past. With a large fantasy world and limitless lore, great characters and a beloved central story, you'd think someone would have come up with an equal gaming experience by now. Put simply, Middle-earth: Shadows of Mordor is the best Lord of the Rings game so far. But that isn't saying so much. The game takes place between The Hobbit and the beginning of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where a ranger of Gondor named Talion is killed along with his wife and son during Sauron's army's return to Middle-earth. Now, this takes place around the Black Gate. Though similar with Tolkien lore, will recognise the location as the final stage of war during the Return of the King, where Aragorn delivers the epic "Today we fight" speech, and the Eagles beat the crap out of the remaining Nazgul. So, instead of being awarded the Peace of Death, Talion is pulled from the abyss by a mysterious elven wraith, who becomes bound to him. He becomes immortal in some respects and gains some pretty nifty ghost-like abilities. The pair set out on a quest to hunt and kill the Black Hand of Sauron, the person who killed Talion's family. The mission also reveals the mysterious origins of the Wraith, who is deeply set in Lord of the Rings lore. This particular note will greatly satisfy Lord of the Rings fans, as it adds so much more culture and lore to a game which is already pretty fleshed out with Lord of the Rings references.
We find the one who cast it on us.
Shadows of Mordor is an open world adventure, though admittedly the map is a little bit smaller than what you might be used to. Now, this isn't a bad thing, hear me out on this one. You have a smaller map, so you learn the environment much better, and the environment is amazing, by the way. So you learn intricate ways and new creative methods of just laying into the skulls of all the Uruks and Orcs that you come by. And then you've got the familiar mission structure that mirrors Far Cry 3, and all the dispatching of quests, that's very similar. And then you come along to the Arkham comparisons and the Assassin's Creed comparisons, which are vast, but you immediately forgive this when you consider you're already familiar with all of this game and you settle in straight away. You're familiar with the combat, the rhythmic, fluid takedowns from enemy to enemy. You're familiar with the idea of surveying the areas and being stealthy to take down your enemies. It's a really strong point of this game that it already feels very familiar while you're playing, and it's something that I picked up on straight away. Now, the familiarization of these particular concepts in this game only means that the game can open up to further development in other areas, and that's where I'd like to talk about the Nemesis system.
You left my master to burn, so I'm gonna cut you slow and savor every twitch.
And that brings me to the Nemesis system. Be prepared to see this new system flood the world of gaming. What an amazing idea. A feature which displays the army of Sauron and its hierarchy has been introduced, which is made up of Uruks, powerful orcs, war chiefs and captains. This shows you the higher ranking officers that serve as mini-bosses and their personal bodyguard. These chiefs are stronger than the normal orcs which flood the plains of Mordor and will give you one hell of a fight as you quest to take them down. The Nemesis system is incredibly immersive, as with every orc that falls with a position of power, there is often one to take its place as you progress through the game. What is even more creative is the internal fights and usurping members of Sauron's army, who fight amongst themselves as they greedily look to gain more power. These Uruks and Orcs gain special abilities, strengths, and even individual nicknames and titles like the Choker or the Executioner, depending on their brutal method of kicking your ass. You must negotiate this system as you use your Wraith-like abilities to gain intel on these captains if you are to have any hope of taking them down. This can see the war chiefs being immune to stealth attacks or weak against ranged tactics. By finding this information via mind control or interrogation, you can reveal the identities of these officers and discover their strengths and weaknesses. This is a brilliant new system, and one which will reappear in many games in the future.
Run, you filth! And tell your master I am coming!
Yes. Let them carry word back to Sauron. When he comes for us, our pawns will be in place, and all Mordor will burn.
The best part of this system, though, by far, is the idea that all of these pieces on the chessboard are always moving. You could encounter a low-level orc early in the game, and he manages to get a killing blow on you, and then later on you'll discover that he's become a captain with a new title. Because he got that killing blow on you, he'll gain in strength, power, he'll gain new abilities if he's lucky enough, and it'll become harder for you to take down and exact your revenge. And that is exactly what you want to do. You form an amazing rivalry with these non-playing characters through their generated personalities in the Nemesis system. There's a particular enemy, a captain that I continuously couldn't kill, called the Humiliator, and he refuses the killing blow basically, and it just infuriates you so much. So eventually when you finally get to kill him, it's a big moment, and it comes out of this Nemesis system. It's a really strong system. The personalities that it creates are just amazing, and it adds a brilliant extra dimension to a game that's otherwise quite linear in terms of storyline. Yes, there are side missions, there are challenges, there's all sorts of other things to do, but the Nemesis system is by far the strongest thing going for this game. The game also offers incredibly dynamic and ever-changing quests all around Mordor for you to explore. Central missions, side quests, challenges, collectibles and specific orc events provide a never-ending array of things to do outside of the core story. This reminded me of the Arkham series very much, where you'd collect Riddler figures or complete flying challenges or defend the helpless citizens of Gotham as you soar across the city to kick the Riddler's arse. So you're forever running the risk of being battered by captains out for your head as they hunt you down across Mordor, and this keeps the game incredibly lively and dynamic. There is so much to see and do outside of the central story, you will forgive the shortness of the core narrative and the lack of any multiplayer. References to the larger Lord of the Rings universe as well gives the game authenticity and a real purpose, with appearances from the likes of Gollum and a big reveal towards the end of the game when you discover the identity of the Wraith. The idea that there's so much going on this game also kind of comes again from the Nemesis system, which gives you so much more exterior things to do. You will find yourself making your own rivalries and pursuing that orc that managed to kill you a couple of lives ago. One of the potential weaknesses though is just how hard the game is at times. It can be easy when you're flying through enemies in that rhythmic combat style like we see in the Arkham series, but taking out a captain can be so difficult. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a challenging game, and I like the idea that this game is actually hard to complete sometimes, but you can't help but think that maybe it's made a little bit harder, perhaps to compensate for a shorter story. Now, this is only a potential negative that I can find in the game, in an otherwise experience which is pretty much perfect for me. I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, I love the Arkham games, I love Assassin's Creed, and this game really blends everything together in such a way that any fan of any of those series will be left very, very satisfied. And then any Lord of the Rings fan will see enough lore, enough authentic orcs, because the voice acting is phenomenal. Your character is very, very believable. He's kind of like a sexy Aragorn. Not that Aragorn isn't sexy anyway, obviously, but he's a pretty cool protagonist. So Lord of the Rings fans will be very satisfied with what they see within the content of this game. So then, Shadows of Mordor feels more like a reward for Lord of the Rings fans that have had to endure shitty games like Conquest, Lord of the Rings Online. These games were just almost an abomination to the lore, but Shadows of Mordor really rewards you for sticking with the idea of a Lord of the Rings game. Now, this game is with innovations like the Nemesis system. It does copy the best aspects of certain games that it mirrors, like Assassin's Creed, Arkham. It does copy those games almost to a level where you feel like you're playing the game with a different skin at times. But you completely forgive this because you feel familiar with the idea of these games and you're immersed in a new type of lore which has twists, it has a familiar setting, because, let's be honest, if you're playing this game, you probably love Lord of the Rings as much as I do. My accent is from the Shire, obviously, as you can tell. So, being from Tolkien country, it's great to see an amazing game from Lord of the Rings lore, and Shadows of Mordor will do very, very well. So, chime in with your thoughts, let us know about your experiences, because I'm sure the Nemesis system has generated some pretty interesting, thrilling experiences for you. So, do let us know about them. I'm interested to know how you're finding the game. And I'm looking forward to a new franchise out of this. Like, it can definitely go places, and definitely expect to see that Nemesis system pop up in rivaling games from now on, because it is by far the strongest thing going for this game. I'll see you guys on the next Movie Cricket Review. Cheers for stopping by.